conference will now be recorded.
Hey, everybody, it's Dr. Doug Smith. It is Thursday at 2:30, so it's time for our Monday through Thursday 2:30 podcast. This is a podcast where you will hear the science behind what actually happened to many, possibly including yourself, in the opioid crisis. And a lot going on. Alex and I are starting work on the next submission for the FDA. As many of you can imagine, and everybody that reads the book is going to realize I'm no big fan of the FDA. Okay, I'm no big fan of the FDA. I'm even less of a fan of the psychiatrists. A lot of the book is laying out in exquisite detail exactly what it is the psychiatrists did that was so wrong, and exactly the level of incompetence exhibited by the FDA. Working on chapter 4 with the editors right now, and chapter 4 has a section on the fact that the FDA never required the pharmaceutical companies to check for methylation. Okay, methylation is a known type of damage to the DNA. Methylation is a known type of damage that is done by drugs. Okay, there's no valid scientific reason at all to leave methylation off the list of things to check for. It's just sheer incompetence, absolutely sheer incompetence. And as the book points out, the opioid crisis was driven by, greed, of course, fraud, and incompetence. That's what drove the opioid crisis was greed, fraud, and incompetence. And certainly the fact that the FDA never required the pharmaceutical companies to check for methylation prior to declaring their products safe for human consumption, that's just incompetence. Greed, that's pharmaceutical companies not issuing warnings. Okay, it's been crystal clear that the pharmaceutical companies have needed to issue warnings for decades, really. Okay, decades. I would go all the way back to 1990, and that's a legal requirement. You know, if you're a manufacturer and you're manufacturing a defective product, you've got an obligation to tell the public. And if you're a pharmaceutical manufacturer, you've got an obligation to tell the public through the medical community. That's the law. And that's the basis for our mass tort lawsuits. By the way, those of you who have signed up for the mass tort lawsuits, thank you greatly. There's always room for more, and there's no deadline. We're just looking for the people who, the people who want to have the early impact, what are known as early adopters, people who want to have, they're the tip of the spear, they're the front of the curve. So yeah, all you people who want to have that first impact. I don't care if it's justice, revenge, to help others. I don't care what your reason is. Get on board with us. Sign up and be with us on this mass tort lawsuit, which is a lot of the reasons that Alex and I are working so hard on this. Alex hadn't started his part yet. He will soon. Don't you worry, Alex. It's coming your way. But while we're working so hard on this FDA submission, and this time, once we submit it, this is not our first time submitting. We've been turned down a few times, but this time we're not stopping. Okay, there's no limit to the number of times we can submit, and their reasons for denying us are just absolutely ridiculous. So this time we're not stopping. Okay, as soon as they have to give us a yes or no within 30 days, and so far everything's been no. But from now on, when they give us a no, 30 days later, they're getting. About 2 days after they give us a no, it's going to be resubmitted, and we're not stopping until we get an approval, because we got to do this to save lives. Now, what's on the screen in front of you? Does this fall in the category of greed? Does it fall in the category of incompetence? Does it fall in the category of fraud? And or does it fall in more than one category? And that's a difficult thing to say. I would probably put it in the category more of incompetence. Okay, it's got to go in one of the three, because we said only three things cause the opioid crisis. So it's got to go in one of those three categories. So I'll go along with incompetence on this one. This is from the psychiatrist. Okay, this is from the APA, American Psychiatric Association. And this is the criteria. We've looked at this before. We're going to continue to look at this. There will be redundancy in everything that we do, okay, because people come and go and people need to see things more than once. This is from the American Psychiatric Association. These are the criteria that were used to diagnose you with opioid addiction, opioid use disorder. If you were diagnosed with opioid addiction, opioid use disorder, you're looking at the criteria. Okay, and in the book, we absolutely rip this thing apart. Okay, and we point out in chapter 2 that it just doesn't stand up to the lightest of scrutinies. Okay, now we did a little read yesterday from chapter 2, and chapter 2 goes into this in detail. Okay, you examine this in the lightest of scrutinies. Now, if you notice now, okay, there are 11 criteria there. Okay, and read all 11, and then you tell me if you saw somebody out buying fentanyl, would you know why they were buying fentanyl? That's the question. Okay, were they buying fentanyl to get high? Or were they buying fentanyl to not be sick? Because if they're buying fentanyl to get high, that's a mental health disorder. But if they're buying fentanyl to not be sick, that's a medical condition. Now, the psychiatrists looked at people buying fentanyl, and they just decided everybody was buying fentanyl because they wanted to get high. You know, that dopamine theory of addiction. You take an opioid, it causes a surge in dopamine in your brain. That surge of dopamine in your brain is so incredibly wonderful that you basically devote your whole life to chasing that high. Okay, and the other circuits in your brain are hijacked. Okay, and you just become kind of a zombie, stumbling around looking for that next high. That's just nonsense. Just absolute nonsense. Okay, we don't believe that. Okay, we believe that people were out buying fentanyl because they couldn't stand the sickness anymore. Okay, and for very valid reasons. Okay. Now, look at those 11 criteria. Could you tell the difference between somebody that was buying fentanyl because they wanted to get high and somebody that was buying fentanyl because they didn't want to be sick anymore? And the answer is no. No, you can't. The document just fell apart. If that document can't determine whether someone's buying fentanyl for a mental health reason, a psychiatric reason, or someone's buying fentanyl for a medical condition, if that document can't discern between the two, it is useless. It is garbage. Okay? And read it for yourself. There's no way you could tell the difference of why somebody was buying fentanyl, whether they were buying it to get high or whether they were buying it to not be sick. So therefore, the document's garbage. And that took all of what? 43 seconds? Okay, 43 seconds, and we just ripped apart the diagnosis of opioid use disorder, opioid addiction. And there's no putting it back together. Okay, and this is, we talk in the book about what's called pseudoscience, fake science. That's what psychiatry is. It's fake science based on observations. Okay, real science is not based on observations. No real science is fully based on observations. Observations are an important component of science, but if observations is all you don't have science. Okay, you have to show that something can be proven false. If there's no answer, if there's no, then the yes is useless. Okay, you go to a emergency department with chest pain, they think you're having a heart attack. They're gonna do all kinds of tests and stuff on you. Chest X-ray, EKG, blood work, CAT scan, echocardiogram, on and on and on. Okay, because they're trying to prove whether or not you had a heart attack. You don't see that on this document in front of you. There's no blood test. There's no X-ray. There's nothing. It's just the opinion of the psychiatrist. Okay, opinions are worthless. Okay, but based off of this document right here, millions and millions of people were diagnosed with opioid addiction, opioid use disorder. Okay, and that's what went wrong. So we're real excited to get the book out there to you guys. Real excited to get the I'm real excited to get the FDA submission completed again. I feel that on my shoulders. The book is fun to work on. I love working on the book. Okay, there's nothing fun about an FDA submission. It's about as much fun as a root canal. It's just tedious. Actually, maybe it's a little better than a root canal. I take that back. Okay, it's just shy of a root canal. There you go. And I've told myself we're gonna have this thing finished by Tuesday. That's gonna be a tough goal. I just want it done. I want it submitted. Okay, and it's not so much the phase 3 clinical trial with the FDA that I'm after. It's the treatment IND, treatment investigational new drug. That allows us to treat an unlimited number of people for an unlimited period of time in the United States with exactly what we're doing right now, 16 milligrams a day of buprenorphine. Okay, and that's what we got to get to. That's how we're going to turn around this opioid crisis. Okay, and the courts can help us with that. The mass tort lawsuits can help with that. Anyway, we are out of time today. Everybody have a great afternoon. Everybody have a wonderful weekend. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to us. Don't forget to post this podcast on your social media, everybody else's social media. Come and join and sign up with us with the mass tort lawsuit. Alex and I are going to be working on the FDA submission. Let's hope we get that done first part of next week, and making great progress on the book. I'm really loving the book. Everybody have a great weekend, and we will see you on Monday.